everyone. So the final part for our solved example, we calculated the chi-square value and we calculated the degrees of freedom in the previous video. Now in this video, we'll focus on the table lookup. Now you have solved numericals on normal distribution. Basically, you have a similar kind of a curve in case of a chi-square distribution, but the chi-square distribution curve is quite right skewed. Okay. And similar to the concept of rejection region, here we have a similar kind of a rejection region concept. So if the calculated p-value is less than the alpha value, that is level of significance, or if the calculated chi-square value is greater than the critical chi-square alpha value, should be square over here. So in that case, what we say is, okay, in that case, what we say is we can reject the null hypothesis. Okay. Now, for the sake of this example, let's assume that alpha, that is the level of significance, is 0.05. Now we'll move on to the table and see how we calculate the or how we look up the table. Okay, so roughly this is how a chi-square table looks like. Normally these are on two separate leaves. Okay, so you have one page where you have the left tail probabilities and another page where you have the right tail probabilities or right tail chi-square values basically. Okay, so left tail chi-square values are not something we are interested in. Our probability calculations lie in the right tail. Okay, so therefore, as we saw in the diagram, we want to find whether our chi-square value is greater than the critical value. So what is the critical value in this case? Okay, so for that, firstly, we'll have to check the row of the degrees of freedom. In this case, degrees of freedom is 2. So we'll check this second row. And in the second row, we'll check the column of the given level of significance, which is 0.05. So the critical value is 5.991. Now, because in our example, okay, let's switch to our whiteboard. Critical value is 5.991. Okay, so now because in our example, what we have is because, okay, let's conclude over here. So because our calculated chi-square value is less than the critical chi-square value, we can say that we fail to reject the null hypothesis. Our chi-square value does not lie in the rejection region. So we fail to reject the null hypothesis H naught. And if you remember what our null hypothesis H naught was, this was our null hypothesis. The gender and the choice of condiment are independent of each other, and we are unable to reject this. We fail to reject this means that our conclusion or interpretation is that the gender and choice of condiment are indeed independent of each other. So that's it for the chi-square test. I hope you have understood the concept. If you have any questions, any doubts, do post them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.